This rookie guy wants to go to war, but his training officer disagrees. Angry training officer takes him directly to the military court. After the father knows, wearing a military uniform come out for him, he holds an envelope and give it to the judge. The judge opens the letter. In the letter unexpectedly said specially approved 000012730 000014682. Especially he can go into battle without a gun. But how does he fight without a gun? Turns out the guy is a devout believer, and the father is a retired soldier. The shadow of war in the heart of a father has never been lost. This causes his son to face many difficulties since childhood. One day, the son cannot help but scold, almost shoot and kill the father. Done. The son is very self-blame. He swears he won't touch a gun from now on, but not for long. After receiving news of the Japanese raid at Pearl Harbor, he decides to join the army again, but different from ordinary soldiers. Others join the army to destroy the enemy army, and DOS is for saving lives. Just like that in the rookie training camp, he is treated as an exception by the training officer. The training officer does not allow the team to go to the battlefield, because there's a soldier who doesn't want to use a gun, so think of any way to expel him away. For example, someone coaches him to run a marathon, or intentionally causing friction between him and his comrades. Even toppled his bed, causing him to quickly get out. But none of this changes DOS's mind. Even being beaten by comrades, even getting hit in the head, the bed is covered in blood, then he still doesn't leave. So the training officer becomes more and more cheeky, knowing DOS has to get married. On the very same day of the marriage, intentionally does not approve the leave, even locks him up in a cell. Face the pressure of the training officer. DOS remembers his wife waiting in the ceremony. He can't stand it anymore. Then the wife comes to the cell. She asks DOS, "You can absolutely not kill people, no matter how you hold a gun." But DOS remains the same, resolutely choosing his religion. But what good is faith? If he doesn't agree to plead guilty, then there will be no way to join the army, even have to be in prison for life. The wife doesn't know how to do, immediately calls DOS's father. The father understands the son's temperament very well. Wanting him to compromise is inherently impossible, so he goes to meet his wartime superior. Finally, in the last moment before the military court sentencing, save DOS. Training officer cancels appeal. DOS also obtains the status of not holding a gun, is a medical soldier going to the front line, but when he comes to the battlefield, just discovers inexorable war. The body of a comrades are as high as a mountain. Every car carrying the body passes by, shock in everyone's heart. DOS also begins to doubt in his heart. No gun. How many people can be saved in the end? The soldier is extremely almighty, but everyone hates him, because he has never touched a gun. His teammates treat him as a different species. The training officer directly brings him to the military court, just like that a soldier, but can go to the battlefield. Even a single bullet doesn't fire that could save 75 lives, even win the highest medal. He is Desmond DOS. 1945, Japanese troops occupy the islands, in which there is an important fortress Senkaku. DOS and his comrades rush forward. They follow the rope to climb, clinging and bleeding. Very hard to imagine how fierce is there on the battlefield. When they climb to the top, the battlefield is covered with thick fog. Basically, they can't see where the enemies are, so they gently approach. Suddenly, a body suddenly sit up. Comrades is threatened with the destruction of their souls, exclaiming out, attracting the attention of the Japanese. The fight immediately begins. Enemies fire intense artillery. Countless comrades fall in the smoke and fire. Someone is shot through the heart. Someone's legs burns. Fierce loss. Mournful cry. Most people shout the same name. Military medical soldier DOS. DOS is like a shuttle running through firecrackers. He helps his teammates using ropes to tie their legs to stop bleeding. Use morphine to relieve their pain. At this time, a comrade is secretly attacked by the Japanese. DOS quickly rushes to knock down the enemy army. Comrades quickly shoot enemy to death. After the enemy falls, the comrade discovers that the person who saved him is DOS. Mark is the one who doesn't like DOS the most. All of this radically changes his view of DOS. Then he saves a teammate who loses his legs. Medical soldier said, he has failed to live, but in the end DOS still has to save. He doesn't agree to give up any hope, but the Japanese army's offensive power is getting stronger and stronger. The bunker is far away, become a huge hindrance to gain base points. The training officer first uses smoke cannons to cover, orders the soldiers holding explosives to slowly approach. One falls. Another immediately follows. They finally succeed. The training officer orders the soldiers to go ahead. Unexpectedly, the Japanese army become more and more powerful. Once again they are beaten back. The night falls. The battlefield returns to a state of silence that DOS can finally rest a bit. Two people sitting under the trench talk about their childhood together. The friendship gradually builds up. Mark no longer laughs at DOS's beliefs, and DOS also changes more and more consistently. After dawn, the enemy army launches an attack once again. The Japanese army rushes up from the ground like a tide that drowns all. The American army tries to counterattack, but killing one guy gets 100 more. Unusually brutal Japanese army, like crazy dogs. With the gunner fall at the American army, they are weak, they cannot fight enemies. Even the training officer's leg is shot by a bullet and falls to the ground. The training officer hastily calls for fire reinforcements, then orders to retreat. But unfortunately, Mark is shot again, loses his life. The whole team has received a temporary leave. Seeing Mark die, DOS has an important decision. He must return to the battlefield. He has to save a lot of people, because his creed is to save lives. On the battlefield, he links the rope, then tie it to a teammate's leg, pushes teammates down the canyon again, then the other end of the wire hold it tightly in his hand, slowly drop the comrades down, then quickly turn around to save others. At this time the Japanese army comes again. DOS hastily bury his teammates, use another body to cover himself. The passing Japanese feel strange. He kicks the body first, then skewer. It's dangerous. Almost get discovered. Wait for the Japanese leaving. DOS hastily digs out his comrades. Save him. The Japanese on this side begin to clear the battlefield. DOS saves people at the other side. Suddenly, he is discovered. The Japanese are frantically shooting at him. He just jumps into the well to avoid the attack. Unexpectedly, the enemy throw a cannonball down. He almost loses his life. He hides behind the rock and doesn't dare to speak. Suddenly he feels someone behind him. Turning around turned out to be an injured Japanese soldier. DOS indicates Japanese soldiers not to say anything, then get him a bandage. Give him another dose of painkiller, morphine. Japanese soldiers feels hard to believe. The night is slowly coming. DOS takes advantage of the dark to continue to save people. He brings his comrades one by one to the side of the cliff. Put someone down again. Save one person at a time. He's all silently thinking, God, let me save one more person. Just like that, his hands is scratched with flesh. Like this from dark to dawn, more and more wounded soldiers are being saved. In the barrack, soldiers also feel suspicious. Didn't they all die in the smoke and fire? Why are there still so many wounded soldiers? Now one of the comrades tells the truth. The one who really saved them is DOS. It is DOS who alone saves them all. There are even a few Japanese soldiers. Over here, DOS is still looking for the wounded. Now there is only a training officer left. DOS slowly approaches. Unexpectedly, a bullet shoots at DOS. A bullet from the enemy's hand. DOS throws his head aside to attract firepower. The training officer looks for a chance to shoot the enemy with one gun. At this time, more and more Japanese troops arrived. DOS holds the gun in the training officer's hand with one hand. The training officer said, "Is it too late to pick up a gun now?" Then he takes the gun but doesn't have to kill people, but take it as a handle. He wrapped it around burlap, then taught the officer to jump on top, then dragged the officer to gallop effort. They are saved at last. See teammates next to. DOS can't take it anymore. After returning to the army camp, DOS looks at the comrades he saved. A satisfied smile. Tomorrow, the team decides to once again attack the top of the base. A line of serious people. After DOS's prayer is complete, they have a burning will to fight against the enemy. This time, they no longer have to retreat. Under the support of DOS's faith, the comrades grasp the battlefield. Japanese troops surrender, but the Japanese are cunning at the last moment. Throw a cannonball at the crowd. DOS sees the situation, immediately push it back with his hand, kick another one with his foot, but this time he gets hurt. Fortunately, DOS is a big blessing. He is gently brought to the top of the base. After the war is over, DOS doesn't fire a bullet, but saved 75 people, become a hero in history. Many years later, someone interviewed DOS. DOS says the hero is not me, it's the warriors who sacrificed. I just keep the faith in my heart.